accepted the forgiveness that I needed to give to myself. I understood. I went back and I literally tore apart all of my thoughts. They made you journal, they made you write it all down, and think through why I did what I did, what were the kind of seeds that allowed me to make those choices. And as I understood it, I began to not be so angry at myself for doing it, I guess. And then it was interesting because I said to God after we went through all the program and everything, that if you ever wanted me to speak on it, I would do it, but my daughter needed to know. My daughter was 5 at the time, so I thought I had probably 20 years before God was going to ask me to do anything. But a friend had asked me to write down my testimony and just put it on paper, so I did, and I stuck a copy in my Bible. And quite unexpectedly, when my daughter was 8 years old, she found that testimony and read it, not knowing it was mine because my name wasn't on it. And after she read it, we were at dinner, and she asked me, and she said, "Mommy, when you were 16, were you married?" And I said, "No, that's a strange question." And she said, "Well, when you were 16, were you pregnant?" And I took a deep breath, and I said a prayer, and I put down my fork, and I was scared. This was something I was dreading. And I said, "Yeah, I was." And then I kind of thought I had a reprieve because she said, "Well, Mommy, I thought you had to be married to have sex." So I'm thinking we're going down the abstinence road, and this was going to be kind of my way out of having to deal with it. And she stopped, and she went, "Well, wait, where's the baby?" And as she said that, I knew that we weren't going to get out of this conversation. And so I had to explain to her what abortion was. And at the end of the evening, we had a couple of hours. She asked so many questions, and I tried to answer them as honestly as I could. And I think at the time I was grateful that I didn't have as much information about the actual procedures as I do now, because I was able to kind of really explain in very simple terms what abortion does to a baby. And now I really understand medically what it does, and I'm sure I would have overwhelmed her with information had I tried to really give her details. But at the end of the evening, she, I hate this part, she looked at me and she said, "Let me get this straight, Mom. When you were 16 years old, you were pregnant and you killed your baby." And I didn't have anything but the truth that I could say to her. And I knew if I tried getting around it or softening it, I'd lose her. So I said, "Yeah." And you could see that look in her eye. I remember it was just like the question was, "Would you do that to me?" It blew me away. And I thought at that moment, nobody tells you that there's a place and a potential that you're going to have to deal with your experience with an 8-year-old. They say it's safe and legal and it's between you and your doctor. But life isn't that simple. We don't live it up. We live with people, and therefore, and it will even matter to children we go on to have. So it was hard. And our family, she struggled for a couple of years really with this issue. Excuse me. And but it was really neat because God, as faithful as he was to me in helping me heal through it, he really was just as faithful to her. And she had a great youth group at St. Stephen's, and they helped her walk through it. And she wrote, I guess she was about 13 when she wrote out her testimony about it. And she talked about the fact that she wanted to be mad at me for taking away her sibling, but that she understood that forgiveness was something that God had given to me and that she needed to forgive me. And what was really great is it's really strengthened our relationship, and it's really given her the context for why I say you want to remain abstinent. She doesn't just see it as me laying down some law. She understands that it's in the context that consequences can happen if you have sex outside of marriage. And those consequences not only affect you, but those around you and those that will come into your life in the future. So she sees abortion in a much bigger and much different way than many of her peers.
There's a couple things that come to me. One of the things is you are the most courageous woman.
Oh, no.
And I thank you and I honor you. People look all over for, oh, you know, it's Britney Spears and it's this one and all these role models. But to me, you're one of the greatest role models because you have the courage to come out here and speak for every woman that's been aborted. One of the other things that came to me in college or high school, there was some English book or story. It's called Every Man, and the whole thing about it was that this poem or this story spoke for every man. I can't remember who the famous author is, but while you were talking, you were speaking for every aborted woman, in that so many of the things you said reminded me of this friend, this family member, this sister, this, you know.
Well, that's what I found fascinating, because when I went to work for Noel, I thought I had, you know, maybe a fairly uncommon experience with abortion. And I thought, well, you know, there's obviously, you know, not many of us that feel this way. And I had met a girl, and she asked at one of the National Right to Life meetings, and she invited me to start doing answering emails on a website that she had created called pregnancycenters.org. And so she put my picture up on the internet, and she put a paragraph about the fact that I had an abortion when I was 16. And if I wanted to, if somebody wanted to talk to me, they could click on my picture and write me an email. Simple. And I started doing it right around Christmas. And I was floored, because the very first email I got, I'll never forget it. It was a 16-year-old girl, and this was like Monday, 2 or 3 days before Christmas, and she had had an abortion on Saturday. And she said in her email, "Georgette, can you help me? All I want to do is die, and everybody's telling me my problem is solved." She said, "Is there any way that I will ever learn to live again?" Well, that was just the beginning of the emails that I got from women. And I have to tell you, I couldn't help them, I couldn't fix them, but what we would do is we would just really connect them with local help in their area and really get them into the abortion recovery program that existed in their area. And there are some great programs out there.
Excuse me, Georgette, I have to stop you there. We'll talk more about the programs and take a break now.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Come right back. You'll really be glad you did. This is one exciting show, and I'm proud to be here with Georgette Forney, and please come back. Please come back very soon. Thank you.
They said you wouldn't be bothered by a voice calling for you in the night. There would be no trail of cereal through the house. No spills or stray toys. The clock ticks. All is calm. And you realize there is still a voice. If you face the pain of an abortion, call 1-800-593-2273.
Welcome back. Welcome back to Love Them Both. This is just the greatest day. Georgette Forney is here today, and she's telling us about her abortion experience and where it led her to helping other women, to counseling other women. And I'm just riveted, and I know you will be too. Georgette, we stopped where you were taking emails from on a website, pregnancycenters.org. Oh, I just wanted to interject here too that Georgette's testimony is on, could you give the...
the website for Noel is www.noelforlife.org, and on the front page there is a paper that I've recently written called Reflections of a Woman's Journey, and in it is my testimony as well as a great deal of documentation about the effects of abortion on women's health. That's there, and it shares my story as well.
And we're also running a website at the bottom of this program, and feel free to contact you through that website.
Yeah, you can contact me through noelforlife.org, or the campaign that I'm really here to talk about is silentnommoreawareness.org, www.silentnommoreawareness.org, and that also has direct links to us.
Great.
And
this
to
is great.
Priest for Life.